Okay, guys, so because we're only here till, let's just say, Thursday, because Friday's a half day.
Yeah.
I don't see all my classes, so Friday, what we can do is if you didn't finish anything this week, we'll just finish it Friday.
We didn't do anything yesterday, right?
Right. So today we're gonna start the packet. We might even finish it. We might only get to a certain amount, and then remember the celebrity genetics project we're gonna do? We're gonna kind of set that up. Even if we don't 100% finish it till after the break, this is kind of just starting a little bit of genetics, and then when everybody is fresh after the break, we'll revamp with genetics. Okay. So I gotta relearn my board.
Hey, is there a remote control app that you can get on your phone to control the board?
I'm sure there is. They don't tell us anything. They just give us like, oh, look at this. I don't know how to use it. But
Hey, at least it's fancy.
Okay, so follow with me in your packet. Okay, I'm sorry they're small, but this way you don't have to take notes. Okay, so this is our learning objective. We want to understand basic genetics, and I know you've seen these Punnett squares before, right, in middle school. You may have forgotten, but at least we've seen them, okay? It's just a window, okay? They're called monohybrid crosses. It's where you cross two animals. Cross means to breed them. Think of crossbreed. It means to mate them. So all you're saying is, okay, I'm going to put the genetics of one parent here and one parent here. And then when you cross them, think about crossing them, this is the prediction for your baby's outcome, okay? Now, this only talks about one trait. So for example, the bees may represent eye color or hair color, okay? And we're gonna talk about now what the big bees mean versus like little bees, okay? We are not gonna get to a dihybrid cross right now, and sometimes we only get to it before the STAR test, okay?
Oh, for STAR test?
Okay, up here.
We don't know that though.
Shh, up here. Why do people look different from one another? Now, we all know the easy answer, which is, oh, the genetics. I get my looks from my parents, you get looks from your parents. But technically, what makes us look the way we look is our proteins. The proteins that build my eyes are a different color than the protein that builds your eyes. The protein that builds my hair is a different color than the protein that builds your hair. The protein that makes me this tall is in a different amount than the protein that makes you your size. So technically, yes, we look different because of our DNA, but it's technically the proteins that build us. So we look different because of the different proteins we express. Okay, now this is a recap to mitosis and meiosis, which we were hit or miss because that's when we had, the coronavirus stuff over Thanksgiving and then just recently. So this right here is representative of your mother's egg. This up here is your dad's sperm, okay? So you get half of your genetics from your mom's egg and half from your dad's sperm. When they come together, you get a full set of DNA, okay? That is why you only get pregnant when your egg gets fertilized with sperm, okay? Because eggs don't survive and make babies until they're fertilized, so they just pass and die, pass and die. Sperm are the same, pass and die, pass and die. Until you get that full set of genetics, these half cells, they terminate. Now, every cell in your body, let's name some things on our body. So, hair, skin, nails, eyes, our liver, our brain. Any cell you can think of in your whole body has all of your DNA in it, except for your sex cells, okay? These are called gametes. Say it. Gamete. Gametes. And I know this sounds really corny, but say if you were trying to date somebody and they kind of showed you a little bit of attention, you were like, game on, okay, I could do this. Gamete, game on. Okay, whenever you hear the word gamete, game's on. We're talking about sexy sex cells, okay? Eggs are sexy sex cells, sperm are sexy sex cells, and game on. I know it sounds so ridiculous, but you're always going to remember it now. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about. Now,
You're fired.
once you get half and half, what geneticists do, what your doctors can do, I actually did this already with my cells. But anyway, what you do is you take one of your nuclei, because remember your nucleus holds your DNA. And remember, in your nucleus, you got half from your mom, half from your dad of every cell. And then you crack it open, and then you're like, oh, this looks like a mess. What you do, now look up here, this is a little bit tricky. You have to match the chromosomes that are paired up, one from your mom's egg, one from your dad's sperm, and they actually make pairs. So guys, this hodgepodge actually can be organized into this here, and there's 23 pairs. One set came from your mom, one set came from your dad. So 23 of these came from your mom, 23 came from your dad, and then they pair up. So for example, everybody has a chromosome number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. See where I'm going? You pair up your 2 1s, one you got from your mom, one you got from your dad. You pair up your 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s. You pair all these up and you get 23 pairs. Do you see how they all look exactly the same? They have to, because these are your 2 genes that you get from your mom and your dad that dictate what you look like. You get a gene from your mom, gene from your dad. Who thinks they look more like their mom? Who thinks they look more like their dad? So, this is why you have 2 genes. You get one from your mom, one from your dad, and sometimes you express your mom, sometimes you express your dad's, okay? So, look at them all looking the same. Huh! This one doesn't look the same. Guys, look at here. On this slide, circle this pair right here. It says XY. Circle it.
It's math time.
Circle it. What I want you to write next to it, after you circle it, who's got that music playing?
Your board doesn't want to work today.
Okay. After you circle it, I want you to write sex, chromosomes. Okay, now somewhere on the side,
What do you get that?
X's means girl. Ooh.
Yes.
Y means boy. Okay, so write that down.
Will you sell for $10?
Wait, the whole pack of Snickers is $2?
Yeah. So like, if you want to do instead of the little ones, these things are 2, these things are 2, and then
He upgraded.
hey, it's his life. Okay, so now X's means they're girls, Y's they're boys. So guys, this one has an X and a Y, so this is a cell from a boy. It has a Y. Okay. Now, let's do a little bit of math. Okay. So, you get 2 genes, one from your mom, and then one from your dad.
I put $2.
Sounds good. Okay, now, you're always going to get an X from your mom because remember, girls only have X's. Okay? Now, your dad, so girls, only have X's. So everybody has to have 2 genes, girls only have X's. Boys have an X and a Y. Can a boy ever have a Y and a Y? No, because if you get one from your mom and one from your dad, can your mom ever give a Y? No. So guys, since the dawn of time, women have always given an X chromosome to their children. The dad can give an X or give his Y. Because so mom can give an X or an X, so it doesn't matter, which one she gives. She's always gonna give an X. So tell me, who determines the sex of your baby? Is it what the mom gives or what the dad gives?
What you get?
Yeah. So when that dad says, "Oh, I really want a son," you say, "That's your fault. It's not my fault. I'm just the baby heart. I just hold the parasite, okay? It is your job to give that Y chromosome, okay?
But
So-
you can't physically do it if you don't know what you're doing.
Do that. Okay, up here. Dad. Okay, Dad's gonna give an X, so this baby is going to be a girl. Good. Let's reverse it.
So this is why they have gender reveal.
Yeah, gender reveal. Dad, let's see how you did. Okay, this
he
dad
does
is gonna
that.
give its Y. This is a boy. Good. So now going back to our karyotype, all of these are gonna match up, but sometimes this one doesn't match up. This one is an XY, which is again, what is it, a boy? But what if it was an X, X, and they looked identical? This would be a girl, okay? So,
Girl.
when we look at our genetics in our nucleus, this is actually called a karyotype. Let's write that on there just in case it's not on the next slide. Karyo, karyotype. Okay. It's where they look at all of the chromosomes. So this is all DNA. Chromosomes is DNA. It's just tightly packed. And this last one may or may not look even, because if they're not even, if one's taller than shorter, it means one's an X and one's a Y. But then if they're the same, it's probably a girl, an X, and an X. Can there ever be a YY? No. Good. This is why genetics is fun, but this is why it's so complicated. Okay, so on the next slide, I do tell you this is called a karyotype. Okay, so we matched them up. Okay, the 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s. Okay, they all match up. Okay, now we have an XX, so we got a female. We got an XY, we got a male. Would you be able to do this on a quiz? If I gave you a karyotype and you would just be able to tell me boy or girl based on the XXXY? Yeah, I think you could.
That's only if I'm smart enough.
You're smart enough.
Good.
Now, we will get into mutations, like I'm talking about like real genetic mutations after Christmas. But you can tell if a baby has a very substantial mutation, which is probably going to cause perhaps a miscarriage, because guys, even though it would be very sad, the body is so smart. And if the body saw that there was a really big genetic mutation and that baby was going to be so sick and may not even leave, the body is so smart and says, you know what, let's terminate it, let's abort it naturally. Like that's what, so unnatural miscarriages, because the body knows that that baby would not be right with missing or extra chromosomes. Okay, think about it. Your DNA lets you make protein.
Hey, can you name a mutation?
Your DNA lets you make proteins. And if you're missing chunks of your DNA, you're missing chunks of proteins. What if that chunk of chromosome that you're missing, or what if that whole chromosome codes for a protein to make red blood cells? Can you live without blood? No. So, some mutations they're finding actually those kids can live. Has anybody ever heard of Down syndrome?
Oh no.
And has anybody, how Down syndrome, those who have Down syndrome have a very stereotypical look to them? You know what I'm talking about? It's because when they have that extra chromosome, we'll talk about it, they actually can survive with an extra chromosome, but that extra chromosome makes them all physically look alike because of what that extra protein does to them, okay? There's not many mutations that you can actually survive and live with if you're missing or have an extra chromosome. So, if you think, or what they do sometimes is they take blood of the mother when she's pregnant and they do this. They split open her nucleus, they line up the chromosomes, and they just make sure that she's got the 23 pairs, and then they check for the X and the Y or the X and the X. If they find any extra or missing, they go to that mom and say, hey, this is what we think is wrong with that child, okay? And remember, This doesn't just happen in one cell. This is representative of all your cells. So if they break open a nucleus and find this in one cell, they're gonna find it in all your cells. Because remember with mitosis, you have a parent cell, and then that gives rise to identical daughter cells. Whatever happened in that original egg meat sperm, that's what's gonna happen in every cell. So, ready? Let's check these out. Okay, karyotype. Tell me if you see anything weird. Ready?
Here, try it. Right there.
Yeah, but there's still two. I don't think that's too weird.
Definitely right there.
Still, there's two of them. That one.
One's like two completely different sizes.
Where? This one?
Yeah.
I think that one's moving over. Yeah, what is going on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Ugh, it has an extra one. Okay. It looks like it's a... Well, it's... Oh, this is the whole 23 chromosome. There's 2 X's and a Y. That extra one, ugh, that's not good. Okay, let's do this next one. Ugh, that is definitely concerning. Okay, so anyway, definitely have 23 pairs, but they're missing a lot of this number 2. It could be significant enough to cause a lot of mutations, okay? Ooh, geez, look at me over here.
If I what you do.
Clear. Okay, I'm looking over here. Yes, some of these are a little bit squiggly, but I think it's how they try to arrange them. Remember, these chromosomes are like super microscopic, so it is really hard for somebody to do this. Oh! Y'all, that don't look right. Actually, you see,
That does look good over there.
now I think what happened here is this whole thing is 23, and that's an X and a Y, so I think we're okay with this one. But this is the one that's making me nervous. This is actually a Down syndrome karyotype. So people with Down syndrome have an extra number 21. That's what that is. 21, 22, 23, yep. So this is actually what scientists do. Every time, you're pregnant, you need to get blood taken, they make sure that baby's okay. You ever wondered how they figured out if the baby was okay or not after they took blood? This is how they do it. They look at your blood, because technically your blood is the baby's blood. So they'll find your blood types, then they'll find baby's blood types. This is really cool too. If mama blood, so remember, the mom's blood cycles through the baby. Okay. Girls only have which chromosomes? X's or Y's? Yep, good. So a mom should not have any Y chromosomes in their blood, right? So when they do take blood from the mom to check the sex of the baby, if they find any Y chromosomes, they know the baby is a boy. That's how they find it, through blood work. If they run your blood and don't find any Y's, then it's most likely a girl. Yeah.
And if I
Pretty
can
cool.
on the phone,
Yeah.
the doctors made a mistake on my gender.
They thought you were gonna be a girl.
Yes.
You would have been a pretty tall girl.
And my mom bought all these clothes for me, and
Oh my gosh.
Wait, what happened?
my mom bought all these clothes for me.
It's one thing to just be like, oh, from one visit to another visit, like, oh, you're having a girl. Oh, wait, actually, but then to think all the way coming out, and you're like, what? Okay, up here.
I will look pretty.
So, now, here's where we're going to talk about some vocabulary. And when I say the words, at first you're going to be like, what? So, remember how I talk about you get a gene from your mom, a gene from your dad? These are actually called alleles. Say allele.
Allele.
Alleles. Good. So, yeah.
That's like probably the only thing I remember from that class.
Yeah, but it's a weird word. So technically I could say your genes from your parents, like your one gene from your mom, one gene from your dad, but technically your alleles make up your genes. So allele is in a section of DNA on a chromosome that codes for a protein. So remember, your DNA, y'all think DNA looks like this. This is how I picture DNA. DNA is tightly strung into these X's So all these X's is if you would just loosen them up, it would be like yarn, and it'd be like you pulling the yarn out of a bundle. Okay? But what they're saying is these lines, these bundles, code for proteins. This one codes for eye, hair, skin, nails. I'm just making that up. Okay? Now, here's 2 words. Turn to this page. I'm going to say these words a lot, so you have to know what they mean. Okay. No. Genotype, phenotype. Okay. Genotype are your genetic, write this down, genes. So when I ask for a genotype, I'm asking for the genes. Now, pheno, you know how the PH sounds like an F? Like phone sounds like an F, like little kids are like spelling phone F-O-N-E, and you're like, oh, that's cute. So phenotype, think of it as your face, your face, your physical looks. Okay? And when I say, what is that person's phenotype, all I'm asking you is, what do they look like? So for example, Anna, your genotype for hair color may be little b, little b. You see how I'm talking genetic lingo? Little b, okay? Or I might even say homozygous recessive. But her phenotype, what she looks like is, what would you say, red hair? Okay, so look up here. An example of, if I'm asking for a genotype, I want you to tell me big B, big B, big W, little w. I want you to tell me the genes, because remember, everybody has 2 genes for a trait. Phenotype, I want you to describe it to me. White fur, wrinkled seeds, okay? Also, here's some more, yes?
How do you know what the letter corresponds to?
That's what we're gonna do now, yeah. So I do have to give you a lot of information when we're doing these problems. We're not gonna actually do problems until after the break, because I think if we would do the problems right now, we would all just like forget. But this is how they're gonna correspond. So ready? The word homo, please write this down with me too. Homo always is same. And yes, we can go back to homosexual. What is a homosexual? Same sex. Girl, girl, boy, boy, homo. Homogeneous looks the same throughout. So homo is a prefix that means same. Hetero means different. If you're a heterosexual, you prefer a different sex than your own. If you are heterogeneous, you look different throughout, okay? So guys, when we're talking about letters, are these the same letters? And I'm talking about the exact same. I'm not talking about little big or I'm talking about the exact same. It's like they just said copy, paste, good. So this is homo. Look up here. Are these homo? 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 Good. They're homozygous. Homozygous. Now, look over here. These are not what. Ugh. I never saw that on here. This is how it should be. Do a big R and a little r. Erase these. Do a big H and a little h. And we'll do a big T and a little t. Okay. Yes, these are all the same letter, but are they exactly the same? Are they a cut and paste of each other? They're different. Big R is different than little r. Big H is different than little h. Big T is different than little t. So these are called a heterocoupling. Homo couplings are exactly the same. Hetero are different.
Good question.
Yeah.
What was wrong with yeah, the same thing that is.
Because look at, it's like a big R and a littler big R.
R's are big R's and little R's. Yeah, it's just big R, like little R, like what you just wrote.
So it has to be lowercase. So
What is it? I'm sitting here leaving. I was like, ours is lowercase.
Why is mine not lowercase?
On here. Ours is.
Mine's not, y'all. Look at Big B and then a little version of Big B. Okay, good. If yours is good on your seat, then good because I never.
Oh, you mean lowercase Rico. We already
But
got
I
those.
never saw this on this PowerPoint, so I was like, where did that come from? Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
No, Fife, this is just a dream. Don't worry.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you what that means, guys. Sorry, we're going step by step, so go to this page here. Now, whenever you see something that is capitalized,
Right.
and just think of that big B towering over that little b. Big B is dominant, okay? See, so you have a little b right here.
Yep.
What? Okay, I'm gonna redo this. Little big B, little b. Okay. This is how genetics works, so pay attention. Okay. It really doesn't matter if you have 2 dominant or 1 dominant, you are going to display the dominant type. Think of it like this, okay? Okay, if I'm a giraffe, okay, or I could be a human too, okay, and I need to reach something up really high, okay? Picture my hands as the 2 genes or the 2 alleles, okay? Dominant means I reach up high, which is the uppercase. Recessive, which is the lowercase, means I reach down here, okay? If I needed to get food from a high tree, we'll say this is the tree. Does it matter if I have 1 hand to pick from or 2? No, because I could still get from the high tree, right? 1 hand is good enough to get me what I need. So when it comes to being dominant, it doesn't matter if you have 1 uppercase or 2. You're still going to display the dominant trait. There are a few times where too big might mean more of the dominant, but in general, guys, who has brown eyes?
I do.
Really? Okay. Brown eyes, guys. Brown eyes means you have a dominant, where did I put it? A dominant allele, guys. Brown eyes. You don't have to write this.
Brian.
Look up here. I do not know if you brown eye people are this or this. All I know is you have to have 1 big B. Now, where's my blue eye people at? Ooh, yeah, right here. Where are we?
I
Okay.
don't even know where eye color I am.
I need a
Okay,
mirror.
now look up here. Those of us with blue eyes, we do not have any dominant alleles. So what should our B's be? Should they be big or little? Little bit. So blue, no matter what, is little b, little b. So the cool thing about being dominant is there's 2 ways to always be dominant. You could have 2 big or 1 big. But the only way to be what's called recessive is to only have the little alleles, the lowercase, okay? So if you have a recessive trait like blue eyes, I know your phenotype and your genotype. But if you're dominant for that trait, I don't know which one you are. The only way you can figure out which one way we are is to look at your parents and to try to predict what they gave you, okay? Remember, when my son came out with blue eyes, even though my husband is dark skin, dark eyes, dark hair, dark everything, I knew that was a chance because my husband, despite how dark he is, got all his darkness, his dominant genes from his mom, and his dad had blue eyes and lighter skin. So I knew he got a lighter skin, lighter eyes, light alleles here. So I knew there was always a possibility that my son could have blue eyes, okay?
Is he mixed with something? Like
No, he's just dark. Yeah, doesn't he?
Josie? Because Josie is
Yeah.
really light and she's
I mean, look
Josie
at,
looks like my cousin. My
He was
cousin.
it's like tan.
he looks like he's Hispanic, but he's not.
Hold on.
His dad is just as
Oh.
pale and blue-eyed and Irish looking. He's just, I don't know.
Maybe that's
He's
why.
gorgeous. That's my husband.
Gorgeous.
Okay, so anyway, let's move on.
My dad is. And
My
so
mom's
is my brother.
Your dad is tan.
My dad is like really tan.
I thought he was just tan, but I think that's his natural olive skin color.
Well, like when he
Both
takes
my
off
parents
his
are tan
watch,
and I'm
he
pale.
always wears a watch, and it's literally as light colored as this right here.
Yeah.
It's like bright white.
My
It's
uncle went to
hilarious.
go work in the oil field for like a month, and after I saw him, he looked like he was a whole different, like, he looked Hispanic, okay?
Yeah.
Did he go out to a rig?
Okay, up here.
You're out.
So we're almost done, guys. Okay. Individuals can be homozygous for some characteristics and hetero for other. So guys, look up here. You may think you're all dominant, but really
Dominant.
everybody has dominant and recessive for everything. A lot of the things that we physically see, we can detect, but then there's a lot of stuff internal that we don't know. It's kind of like our predispositions to sickness and illness. We get that from our parents as well.
I
And
mean,
we don't
like
know
our
if
body
we're
doesn't know.
dominant or recessive. Now, okay, look up here. You're gonna tell me if these, I'll pick them out, if they're, because this is what we do. Whenever we see a pair of letters, we see if they're homo or hetero and dominant or recessive. So, I'll just take volunteers, but could somebody volunteer for this one?